podcast, the first edition of the sports show. My name is Bamidele Oluwasegun, and with me I have Bushi and David. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Alright, let's go.
let's keep the ball rolling
Alright.
with the Europa League review between Manchester United and Tottenham.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're watching that match, you could realize that it was a match between the 16th and 17th in the Premier League. You understand?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the match,
For
guys?
me, for the match, I would say one team wanted it more, which was Spurs, looking by the game plan of both teams. I know most Man U fans were complaining. They were saying, "Oh, why didn't he start Mino? Why didn't he start Garnacho?" And then you look at Tottenham. I think the game was a game of two halves, but then it was decided by what the result was. When you look at the first half, it was more like Tottenham. Then they got the goal. You know, I think we were having one conversation some time ago when I said Ang was a very reckless coach. He didn't mind going all out attack. But I think now he has learned his lesson now. We saw in that game, he got to the goal and then he went all defensive. The usual Ang we know would not do that. He would always keep going all out to attack and all of that. When you look at the game, most people are giving the game to Man U. They're giving the game to Man U. Oh, with what they have, with their players coming back, Ahmad coming back, that was a game they were supposed to win. Unlike Spurs, they had Madison out, they had Kulusevski out.
Right.
But then, and I was looking at their defensive pairing. What's his name now?
Van de Ven,
and then Romero. I think they were injured. So for some reason I was like, this is looking like a Chelsea thing coming back. Because I remember whenever they want to play Chelsea, those guys will be injured and they will just come back. So I was scared. I was like, I hope this thing will not repeat. But for some reasons, they could finish the game. And I would say Hank got his statics spot on. For what's it called? For Amorim.
Yeah.
I think when he saw that the game was going away from him, I expected him to go all out. It was a final, you were losing 1-0. I didn't expect him to have 5 defenders still playing. He should have sacrificed Oliver. The worst thing that would have happened is you either concede 1-1 to be 2-0 or you equalize. So for me, I think Spurs went for it. Ange surprised us and they got the win.
Okay. David, I think you could remember the last time I was with you, I told you something about Ange playing defensively in the Premier League. You remember? I don't know. I said there was a time he had to like, yeah. So I was not surprised seeing him back to that formation of let's defend when we score. So what do you think about the Europa League final?
Yeah, well, just like which you said, you know, it's a final. You do anything you didn't fit to win the final. I mean, I was surprised. Just like I said, I was surprised. You know, he ditched his eye line. I mean, we all know possible
attack
is an eye line. However, going back to the match itself, personally, I think I bet to differ because I'm not sure the team that wanted it more. One, because I printed the scenario earlier. If you are someone that is not a fan of English football, and that was the match to advertise English football to you,
the league.
That was a bad advert for the league.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it was a terrible advert because I feel both sides mirror themselves. I mean, they really showed why they have
the position in the league 16 and 17
on the law. I mean, that was one of the boring final. That I've seen. You know, I was telling someone that we were watching match together. Like this match was screaming for just whoever scores first. If you had that scored first, I bet you would have done the same thing. If I mean the result would have been the same. Probably United might have an edge attacking one. Maybe they would have scored second. Yes. But I feel the team that got the first goal in that match would have gone ahead. Which out. However, why I'm going back to your point, your question about Postecoglou. I was shocked. Anyways, I'm not too shocked because I mean in the Premier League. Couple of matches I've been seeing, you know, a little bit of tweak here and there. But for him to have totally gone fully ultra defensive, especially in the second half. He shot everywhere. And that's how you win. I mean in finals, it doesn't matter What I mean, just like in Amon's case, he only had one duty this season. I'm not even talking about that night.
No.
All season, he only had to win that match. Because if you look at the body language of the team in the Premier League, I mean,
it's almost like
they were hands up. I mean,
they've given up on the league, and their focus is now on the Europa League.
I mean, how can you put all your eggs in one basket? I mean, this is like the most. I mean, the worst United team in couple of years. So I'm sure he doesn't want that kind of history and that kind of record. But you know, because you felt okay. I mean, there's a shortcut to the chat because if United had won, I'm sure all this theory would have fly. So, but because he had one, just go ahead and win the damn game, but yet, and he came up short. Back to what was it? If you mirror their tactics, Postecoglou moved away from his regular. However, on the opposite side, Amorim stuck to what he thought would have given him more. So, and like you said earlier, as the match was going on, you have realized that okay, since there's a mistake somewhere. Someone like Garnacho, I expected him to have been in the game earlier enough. I mean, and your defender, what are you doing with 5 defenders or guard? Now final we did.
If we're playing the final against a team that's
look at what the Champions League final in 2021, City against Chelsea. Look at he got it wrong spot because you went to a final without you don't do things like that because you want to prove that you are a Superman. It's the finals are like you said in one of the discussions. When it's came to finals or derbies, you throw form out of the window. You throw records out of the window. So that day, Postecoglou only did what he had to do.
Yes.
Play ultra defensively and that was it.
You know what, David? I was watching the match, and one thing I noticed is that I was thinking like, is it that coaches sometimes they tend to let me just use the word overthinking that. Yeah, overthink. Because
I'd rather side that moment of rush of blood for
because you said now, 2021 it happened, Champions League final, Man City Chelsea.
Yeah.
This match also, I was watching that match. I don't see any reason why Garnacho was not playing. You understand? Another player I did not even see any reason why he was not playing was Ugarte. Somehow, you understand? Now, I was watching that match. Is this man overthinking? Well, I know it happens. I think you've been in the shoes before. You know, sometimes you just be like, let me just do something new.
Yeah.
But Tottenham, champions of the Europa League.
And the Premier League and then the Champions League.
And they go to the Champions League next season. United. What next for United, guys?
Okay, what next for United? Okay, let me just respond to that comment you made about overthinking. I don't really think he overthought his tactics. You look at the last game he played against Chelsea. I saw that game. When I saw it, I said, this is the lineup he will play in the Europa League final. For me, when I saw the game, the way he came out to play Chelsea, I was expecting him to rest his key players, to say, okay, we have a bigger target ahead of us. Winning 3 points here would not matter.
Of course.
You understand? So I was thinking he would rest there. Most Chelsea fans are already thought, oh, he's going to rest his players because he has the Europa League final, he will play those kits. But then he came out all blazing. I was like, wow. So when I saw it, I said, this is his Europa League final team coming to play.
But like if he had played, because you know I'm not in the from that. However, if you've seen United in games whereby Casemiro, and Fernandes playing there's this confidence in Casemiro because he has Ugarte right behind. If you watch on Wednesday, Casemiro was not comfortable because he couldn't provide the offensive part, and United benefits more even from Casemiro's offense because he has nothing to worry about defensively. Ugarte is the clean sweeper. He will do whatever he wants to. But because someone like Ugarte missing, and someone like, because I just feel, just like Chelsea said, the over-Kaku on the part of Amorim was, for me, not starting Garnacho and Ugarte.
Yeah.
Those because a trial of Bentancur, Papasa, and what's the other guy? I'm not sure. I'm
full energy players.
So you needed all energy, as much as energy saving players that you need on the pitch. So I just went at that point, and even when you rolled out your when you roll out your team news, I mean, as managers, you can always peep into the other team and quickly make the last. You had the chance to do that, but you just felt no. Let me stick to this and everything blocked his face.
Even if you could never make the changes before the game started, the second half,
you had the chance to also do that.
Switch things up. You understand?
Yeah.
Sometimes when it comes to final, it's a one-off, and you know what's at stake. Your whole season, the whole 38 game season
depends on that game.
You understand? So as it is now, not winning that game means Man U had a failure.
A terrible season.
So all the comebacks against Lyon,
I mean, terrible season.
Definitely. All those comebacks, all of those just come to waste. You understand? Now you said what's next for United?
Yeah.
Okay, for United, well, there are two things. But as it is now, I think they are sticking with Amorim. So you either go with him and support him, give him the players he wants, and then watch what happens. Or you ask him to go and start all over again, which means the next manager who is coming in might be a manager who favors back four.
Exactly.
Then he has to start all over again.
And they have to change the system.
And then there are some players whom he would not also want that he will have to get rid of.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the problem now with Man U is they have to get rid of their expectations they've had. Oh, we're a big club. They have to do like Chelsea. Rip everything apart and start from the beginning. Forget, oh, we want to go to the Champions League. Forget, oh, we are the best team, we are in England. You have to start. Football, during the era of Ferguson, is different from football now.
Yeah, definitely.
You understand? Then you could go into the market, buy players. Now, teams like Nottingham Forest are coming up. Teams like Aston Villa, Crystal Palace. The players that Man U will go and buy, Nottingham Forest too can buy those players. You understand?
Yes.
So now you have to sit down and say, come, what is the way forward? What's the plan we will have for our team? How do we want to play? Who is the coach that can do this? Now it doesn't just rest on the first team. You have to start from the academy. So that how you want to play starts from the academy.
Yeah,
and that's what Chelsea did. The philosophy, that's what Chelsea did. They said, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, we want a possession-based game. Okay, so now we have to start from the academy so that our academy already understands it. I think that's what Barca does. So that's why it's always easy for La Masia graduates to just seamlessly go inside the first team because it's the tradition. So you don't have one coach is counter-attacking in the first team and then in the academy they are playing possession football and there's no balance. So you have to start afresh and say, okay, let's let go of ego, let's let go of history, let's start afresh and build
and just come back
gradually.
from the beginning.
Like Chelsea now, people were abusing Chelsea. As it is now, Chelsea are just 3 players away from really competing with the best.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's what Man U needs to do now.
So David, you want to say something?
In ripping everything off, I still think sticking with Amorim is still the best.
Yes.
Because I mean, this, in fairness to him, he has not had his own season. He came in. So let him have let sign his. I'm sure. I think Cunha is on the verge of joining. This other guy on the verge of joining. Oh no, there's another guy on the verge of joining. So if he pinpoints players in the market, I want this. Get him his players. Let him have that the proper precision. In fairness, he wasn't around during the last preseason. So and the precision is matters. It's not a reflection of how your season will be perceived. Yes. However, for the coach, it gives you whatever you want to do. So exactly. So So by the time he's going to the preseason, he knows that players like Cunha, you know what they can do. He has a Bruno in his team, and you can tell that Bruno needs as much as enough support that he can get. He's not getting enough support from the current. You can't have an Holland playing in front of you. Ahmad can only do little, and Casemiro is getting older. So if players like Cunha and some other, and let's see what Amorim can do. So if he now wants to be, if he's now stubborn with his style of play and he's not getting results, then United can say, okay, you know what? Let's sit down, let's go. Guy, you are not giving up because he can still be vindicated if he's saying he's sticking with this because doesn't have the materials to play. Though the league is so unforgiving because at the point when you feel you want to stick with it, once they find you out, you keep getting it back to back. But let's give him time. Give him his preseason. Give him a full season. You can in some match you can see the idea. You can see. You can see what's coming. So exactly, it's the execution that is the problem, not the idea itself. So let them put it on the paper. I want this. I want to give him the players he wants, and let's see. In a year or two, you can come for a review. Then he's not doing what then at that point, then you can let him go.
Yeah, because I'm not really a fan of oh, sack.
Exactly.
You know,
Not even when the manager is about, transmitting his idea. So that's when you now bring another manager there.
Now that will now rip everything up and start.
I think before I come to you, David, one thing I can just say about this, the Europa League final was, I told you United will struggle against English team, which is they will struggle against the physicality of an English team. So I wasn't surprised when watching that match because I could see Ireland bullying maybe the likes of the Spanish defenders, blah 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 blah, but you could not do it against the likes of Romero. So one of the reasons why I felt United lost that match was because they could not cope with the same physicality they were facing in the Premier League.
Well,
in the Europa League.
to some extent you have a point because when you're playing, when the final turned out to be a non-English final, truthfully, I was scared for United because the way you play teams outside of England is old. I mean, look at how they played Lyon. No, I mean look at and they've played high-class team in other leagues.
Yeah.
And Lyon is no pushover in France. I mean,
they play Porto. Clean sheet in La Liga.
So they play Porto in the first. So these are big teams in their respective leagues. No disrespect to them, but however, because in matches against those, this also might want to be technical. And if United brings their physicality into the game, they tend to get a sort of. But when it comes to, it's like you saying, you are bringing it. No, now we get this one. Yeah. If you do this thing past me, now so that was what Spurs was trying to say. Let's not forget that Spurs had beaten United 3 times in this season. Like during the match, they said, at home at the UEFA, abroad. So that psychologically, must have come to play because while United were trying to sack them, this guy was done. All Postecoglou needed to do was tell them, guys, this guy, then they are our wife. We've beaten them 3 times. So so you can't expect Ireland, back to what you were saying, Ireland out-muscling Romero and the Dutch guy. I mean, you can't compare them to the player. So in Spain and in other, you can when you're watching those leagues, you can sense the technicality and how they play. But in England, it's more so Jamboree for all of us one place. So if you come, you collect. So that's just it.
So now I don't even do surprise. But now, before I move to the next question, let's talk about now. I always win something in the first season.
In
my second season, yeah, thank you. Yes, done it. So, guys, Tottenham.
Well, if I was in Hank's position, after this Europa triumph, I'll just resign.
Wait till.
Yes, because when you look at how much criticism he has received, how the club itself too has not exactly backed him, you understand.
Even the media. At some point, it was a back and forth with the media.
You understand? And then when he's made that statement, I always win in my second season. People are looking at the Premier League. Mr. Man, you always win in your second season. The FA Cup is gone. The League Cup is gone. The Premier League is gone. Okay, and then we are looking at it. They were trying to look at his league form in Europa. They said, this one cannot go far. He cannot go far. But then he kept on grinding out results, now he was in the final. So for me, I think Hank had more questions to answer than Amorim because he is someone who has laid the gauntlet for them to say, I win in my second season. So in his mind, he'll be like, I have to win this because my statement will speak against me when after this game. So you understand? So I'm sure he must have sat down, thought about it seriously. How I know is, when you look at the last game they played against Brighton, he rested largely all of his players.
It was against Aston Villa.
Was it against
Aston Villa?
So
Thank you.
He rested largely most of his key players. You understand? Because he knew, as far as my season is concerned, as far as my statement is concerned, with respect to my statement coming through, I have to win this. You understand? So for me, he should just resign. Leave when the ovation is loudest. Danny Levy is not an owner that would outrightly support coaches. He is one very shrewd owner that he believes if I'm giving you 50 million in the transfer window, it's enough for you to compete. You understand? When you begin to start throwing tantrums and say, I don't have the resources, we'll just sack you. Just like Conte. We'll just sack you. So for me, he has made a statement. He has won in Scotland. Now he has come in the second season and he has
won something.
He has also won 2.
And they'll be playing Champions League.
You understand? And he has given them Champions League football. So as he when you will be negotiating maybe contract for next season, now has the upper hand. He has something to bring to the table to say, I gave you a trophy, I earned you Champions League football, so this is what I want, this is what I want. So if they are not giving him what he wants, he can walk away with his head held high up. You understand?
Yeah, right.
So
I even feel that Lever has no choice than to pack.
He has no choice.
Because, I mean, if a manager is saying, I win things in myself. I mean, at some point, I'm not a fan of. I've always better that I'm not a fan of Postecoglou because coming from I've never liked him. You know. So, but you know, if anybody has done, let's give them their honors.
Definitely.
At some point, when he was having at almost every of his pressers, it was not as if the press was setting traps for him. At some point,
there was a time he was even.
He was even filming and before you know the word met. It was because at some point there was a Premier League match he almost avoided. And the postman, even not for that, the fact that it's a ritual, because he knew what was waiting for him. So at some point, so even though I'm not a fan, I felt sympathy for him. That, but with what he has done, I mean, Daniel Levy just come on. This guy has brought the Champions League football again. Because as at January, I'm sure Levy wouldn't believe where Tottenham is currently.
I'm sure he was already planning on sacking
because just like if Postecoglou wanted to, do and wanted to just feel like let me decide to work or do what I want to do as a human, he would have walked away. Because if you had not gone far, if you had not won this competition, you would have been sacked. That's just the truth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
because they were already shopping for replacements. Because at some point there was a word that came out of one of his players, and he had to tell the interviewer that if it's comfortable, let him come and sit in his chair. It was that bad. So then Levy is a crazy guy. You can be sitting in the chair and the next way another manager walks in and you're gone.
Yeah, it's sad when
but however, because Postecoglou knows that he's negotiating with the upper hand now, he can tell him, okay, these are the players I want, this is what I want to do, and this is the type of contract I am. So even when I'm working, I know I have something for myself. So that's the position where they are. Even though I'm still not convinced Postecoglou is the man to lead them. I mean, especially going to the Champions League. However, he has earned that right.
He has earned the right for now.
At least for now. Yeah. So let get him his players. Let his tactics speak for him. And yet, after giving him all he wants and he's still underperforming, then the knife and the arm is with Levi. Then he can choose to do what he wants to do.
Okay.
No, that's true.
Let me throw this question to you guys.
Okay.
Another London club has won an European trophy. Now, it's just a question, guys. Now, Tottenham, Arsenal, who had a better season?
That's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Just shortly, guys.
Shortly, Tottenham, Arsenal. Who had the better season? Tottenham, of course. Football is all about trophies.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, even Remo start to throw them. I saw all the way from Ikenne in Ogun State.
So for me, I check online, I see some people saying, oh, why would the Tottenham fans say they had a better season than Arsenal? That would they have loved that kind of situation? As it is, football is all about trophies. You understand? The moment they were able to win the Europa League trophy, that's it. Regardless of their league form.
I'm sorry, they are in the same competition next season.
Do you know one thing? I saw something online yesterday, which is the English team that has won the European trophy. I saw Arsenal has won too. Now I realize that now they are trying to use that. No, they've won it before.
Okay.
But you understand? Well, the next thing I thought about is like,
how many of their fans have seen
none of you have seen that before. But guys, let's move to the let's move to the Conference League.
Okay.
That's Real Betis versus Chelsea. You understand? So, guys, another London club playing another final against Real Betis.
Okay.
Your opinion, guys?
Well, my opinion. For this, I'll look at Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan.
I know.
Chelsea's season hinges.
Oh, me and you one day. We can still banter ourselves.
It hinges on
now,
two
let's go.
things. Number one, winning Nottingham Forest on Sunday.
Yeah, that's
and it's earning Champions League football. Because I think that's like the minimum bar that was given to Maresca. That I think in the last 2 seasons they've not been to the Champions League.
Yes.
So and they now reviewed all the teams that they were like, Chelsea is the favorite to win this.
Yeah,
you understand?
yeah,
So the only top teams that would have given Chelsea problem is Fiorentina and Real Betis, and it proves to be true because now they are now in the finals. So for me, what will happen in the final? Chelsea is condemned to win, regardless of what happens, because it doesn't matter the form that Real Betis has picked over the course of the games. Chelsea is still the overwhelming favorite.
Antonio.
I understand. Regardless, going by Pedro, Chelsea is still the overwhelming favorite. At least going by when the tournament started. So but football is not played on paper. You understand? You can say they are the favourites. Look at Crystal Palace and Man City, for instance.
If you can find out,
you understand?
Yeah,
Crystal Palace won the game. Yeah. So for this, form is thrown out of the window. You have to play for 90 minutes or 120 minutes. So when you look at it, a lot of it is tilting towards the Chelsea win. However, football is like biscuits. You never know where to crack. You understand? Never know where to crack. It's not like 1 + 1 always giving you 2. Sometimes in football, 1 + 1 could give you 0. You understand? So the Conference League for me, I would say Chelsea has all to play for. They are condemned to win. They just have to win. Now you look at the lead up to the game. Real Betis, the Spanish La Liga, gave them moved their game 48 hours. Whereas for Chelsea, they don't have such advantage.
Which is important. Which is because a key factor.
It's a key factor. Having 2 days rest is really a key thing. You understand?
Very, very key factor.
So you are playing on Sunday and then you have to jet out the next day to Poland to play.
Betis is playing today on Friday. They are playing on Friday.
Yeah, they're playing on Friday. So you understand? So they have more time to rest. However, that is not an excuse. It's the game. The game is the game. So you just have to play. Let go of the excuse and then just play. It's the game.
All right. Thank you, David. Let me just put you on the spot. Score prediction.
Yeah, well, it's difficult because like we just said, it's a final. Chelsea, yes, they are the bigger boys. I mean, since there are 2 teams involved, but if you look at how well Real Betis have been played, and I saw the admin did something. It's the year of the bets.
Yeah,
so I saw them, changing their club logo.
Yeah.
So
bets are winning.
Bets are winning. It's the year of the bets. So, but however, it's something that you have to, when you analyze tactically, these are managers that know what it takes to win a final. And you can't still jettison the fact that players like Anthony Akwene are like in the best form of his life.
Yes.
I mean, his school is only doing, and I think their defense too has really, I mean, in the Conference League, I think they've only lost probably a couple of games. I think Chelsea have only lost once to Warsaw after winning 4-0 away at Poland. But yes, they are very. But you have to be careful when you are looking at this. Yes, Chelsea might, I mean, I'm sure they will, irrespective of whatever happens in the Premier League, Champions League secured or not, they are coming with the full squad. Yes, the players like what's it called, the Belgium will not be available. However, Chelsea is still expected to have more than enough to, I mean, when you have your Cucurella, your James and all that to
David
to go ahead. So I think it's a
prediction.
I think because Chelsea has only proven that they will have to concede. So I think I'll go for a 2-1 scoreline. It will be close. So I think let's say 2-1.
Now, please, before I leave this, there's something just came to my mind. Now, Chelsea win the Conference League and they don't qualify for the Champions League.
As in the of the two.
Chelsea, they win the Conference League.
Okay.
And they lose to Nottingham Forest.
No.
What do you?
No.
No. An average Chelsea would rather win Nottingham and qualify for the Champions League because that's where you roll with the big boys.
Yes.
Now, what I'm saying now is Chelsea win the Conference League and they don't qualify.
Conference League takes it to the Europa.
Yeah, they don't qualify. Is that still a good season?
For Chelsea. Well, but if they win,
shortly, please.
By the reality, there are two sides to this. When the season started, if you want to analyze Chelsea based on how the season started, your last statement would be a positive season.
Yeah, that's true.
Winning the Conference League and all, because nobody expected that team to be in the position where they are currently. I mean, going by how last season ended.
Yes.
However, because when the season started, they raised expectation. They raised the bar. Because I mean, if not for December brawler they had. I mean, they would have been. I mean, the Chelsea would have been seven. They would have no man drive at this time. So that has kind of reset the mindset of most Chelsea fans, thinking that Jimmy now we did it, all do you should do. So, but for me, realistically, Chelsea winning the conference is still a good thing. Yeah. Going by how the season ended last night, how the season.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I support that. So let's move to the big one. These are the champions. UEFA Champions League. Inter Milan versus PSG. Guys, even though we say we don't really get their fans on everything, but it's still the Champions League.
Of course.
It's still the Champions League. If you ask me, I feel Inter Milan is going to win. Based on experience, based on experience, the Serie A team, what's it called? How am I going to use the word? I think they have the players, like I said, the experience, the age. You understand? Defensively, I feel if Inter Milan face a team, Arsenal is very good. I said Inter Milan, PSG. Arsenal is very good defensively. For me, I can say Arsenal is one of the best teams right now when it comes to defending. Yes.
Very true.
Yeah, you understand? But I feel Inter Milan will bring, you know the Serie A vibe now. Serie A naturally from the beginning, one of their first priorities is defend. And I feel PSG will face that. And I feel with the experience, Inter Milan will win.
Well, the thing is, to now counter what you said,
I'm with you.
When both teams started the Champions League, I think PSG scored. I mean, they scored probably just they considered 6 goals or something. Their goal scoring progress was not there. However, in the knockout stage, they started scoring more and also conceding more. Inter Milan on the other side too, they were breached just once throughout the
group stage,
the league stage, and scored a mega 11 goals. However, from the knockout stage, I think they have scored about 15 goals between 4 matches. The semi-final against Barca has been a testament to that.
Yes.
Now, if you are saying a team, so I think both in like manner, both of them mirror themselves, because as much as this can score, the opposite team can score. As much as PSG can concede, Inter Milan has shown that they can also concede.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
So saying they are bringing the Syria, like when we were discussing United and Tottenham, see, some of these things will only work for you when you are domestically.
Yes.
When you play foreign oppositions, because there's a way you approach. There's a way you approach things from abroad. That if you want to bring your domestic mentality, it may not work, and it will not work most times. So saying, okay, you can say Inter Milan is in it. How come they considered 6 goals over 2 legs against Barca?
That's a very good question.
You know what I'm saying?
I was actually surprised.
So saying they are bringing let's not forget that this is the final.
Yes.
The last four finals, bar 2024 and 2023, from 2020 to 2024 has ended in 1-0. When it's comes to final, teams are very cautious. You'll be looking for the first team to show their hands. So it's kind of tactical, so you saying teams want to go, AY and go. The teams don't do that anymore. So you want to. So it was because Real Madrid played Borussia Dortmund, which everybody felt they should be winning, and it was even 2-0.
Yes.
So the previous 3 or 4 Champions League finals has ended 1-0, and I think this is the first Champions League since the Mourinho Porto and Monaco that no English, Spanish or German team playing in the final. So and if a German or a Spanish team is, what to expect. So now that we are playing a traditional, a proper Italian and a proper French team. So saying the final will be, you're expecting goals to be flying red. I'm not sure that. But Inter Milan typically, I'm saying okay, they will set up because if PSG comes at them, let's just paint the scenario. If Inter Milan scores first, the onus is on. I'm just painting the scenario. If Milan scores first.
The onus is on PSG.
If PSG to go attack, are you saying you don't see that PSG attack breaching that so saying them setting up defensively and thinking no, they and PSG has more than, I mean, those young guys in their forwards are capable of breaching any defense. You mentioned something when you analyze that stuff. That has
the best defense.
Look what they did to us.
No, yeah, I want to say something. Now, I was saying something about Inter Milan defensively. Now, within the two teams, who do you think will set up more defensive and will be able to undo the tactical aspect of being defending? Question number one.
Well, if you go by this season, I mean, I'm not a fan of.
Let's go back to their leagues and see how many goals they've conceded.
I understand.
The kind of team they play.
However, how have they fared in the champions? I just wrote out stats now. Like, Inter Milan played better. I said they were breached just once in the whole of the league format. They considered just one goal. However, in the knockouts, they have considered about 6. I mean, so that they have about 12 goals. Because in the Barcelona game, they considered 6 goals. Across the two legs against Bayern, they considered about 4 or 5. So that shows your league form or your league setup, quote unquote. It's not the testament of the fact that, and don't forget this is the final. If you sit defensively in finals like this, if you allow oppositions to come at you, you'll be pretty. So if you're unlucky and at the point of you saying you want to attack, the other team gets another break and you consider second goal. That's it. So ordinarily, looking at how we've known football, yes. Back to your question, Inter Milan, I think they have the ability to set up defense, going by the kind of players. However, I'm not sure that would be the gameplay in this final.
Okay. Bushi, he asked me a question. He said, do I think PSG attack will not be able to breach Inter Milan's attack? But do you know one thing I observed about that Inter Milan's attack? Playing with that 3-5, with their wing backs. You attack them, you expose yourself also. Do you observe? The likes of that Dumfries and is it Dimarco? Yeah. If Inter Milan scores for just my own view, if Inter Milan scores first and PSG is chasing the game, I think it's dangerous for them. That's just what I think.
Okay,
what do you think?
Well, for me, when it comes to final, tactics is important.
Yeah.
However, it's about moments. Most of the time, it's about moments. You can have all of the tactics, but when the game starts, sometimes you can change all of what you planned before the game started, depending on what the opposition brings. Now, when you look at the PSG team, they are a very fluid team, attack-wise too. And then you look at their defense line. Their defense line is not a pushover.
Exactly.
You understand?
Maquinos.
We even defend as a team. They defend as a
looking
team.
at the names, even in the defense line, they are not the defensive side that just say, oh, they are. I mean, these are names.
There's a balance to their team. And then you now look at their midfield too. Vitinha,
exactly.
Yeah, more than their midfield, best.
So you can't really say, oh, they are. For me, I don't think one team will say, oh, I want to defend, or my defense is better. And then this other team will say, my attack is better. You understand? Inter Milan, their attack is not a pushover.
And they'll give Dumfries and
they'll give PSG defense questions to answer. Then you talk about PSG as well. Dembele attacking and Kvaratskhelia too attacking you. So they will give them questions to answer. You understand? So you really cannot say, oh, this defense is better, this attack is better. For me, I think it's a very balanced game.
It is.
When you look at Inzaghi is a very good tactician when it comes to
and it's pragmatic.
Italian.
You understand?
Italian also.
You understand? When you look at his game, how they do make rotations, look at his midfield, despite the fact that they are aging, yet he still gets the best out of them. The rotations, how they understand their role in the team, Dumfries, Marco, and all of that. You understand?
And
you look at PSG too. So for me, what I see is we are in for a very good final. It's going to be a very good game because you are looking at what's the PSG's coach's name again now?
Enrique.
Enrique is a very good tactician too. Look at his days from PSG and all of that. So, and now what he has done with PSG, you see. So we are looking at the game will be won by the coaches. What they are able to put out and moments. trust me, it's gonna be won by moments. So a team that gets his chance and takes his chance wins the game. You understand? But we are looking at a very fascinating battle between those teams.
Because even in the middle, I think it's a very
I'm looking forward to
across board. I just feel,
you know what?
I just feel both teams are. I mean, across board.
You understand? Balanced.
They have two good goalkeepers.
Good
Starting, I mean, Donnarumma and Soma come to the defense. You know, I mean, because the middle, it's a balanced game.
No, if you ask me, I'll pick them. I'll pick PSG midfield. Sorry.
Ahead of
because of the age.
I watch these guys
because of the age.
That Vitinha, Fabregas.
Now you can see that is now nailing you from what you said earlier. Because those guys you should have gone for the experience in the final in Inter Milan's video. So that's sometimes too. The legs can be tired. That's why I said Inzaghi is tired.
That's for Inter Milan.
That was what he did against He like Buchi said. The roles of each player. That's why I give it to Inzaghi. He understands the roles of because at the point where Mkhitaryan and what's the other and the Turkish guy. So when those guys are trying, if they can balance the game. So those ones gave them the pedestal to set up forward. So if the likes of Vitinha are trying to run them ragged, there are guys that can come in and balance the midfield. That the younger guys that can go with Vitinha toe. They can. So all across board, it's a very balanced final. Tactically, the two managers are fine. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, it's just that because I was telling someone, even leading up to the Europa final was even gathering more momentum than the Champions League final because of because of the English viewers and everything, the blitz, the glamour and everything. But if you are a traditionalist in football, you will know these are things that you can forget. You get all the fun when a day to that match in Munich. Just go and see the fans arena. Everywhere will be crowded because these are these are two teams that have ultras.
Of course.
They have good families. So when they are coming, so it will be loud. So it's a final to enjoy. So right now I can't even stick my neck to say this is who's winning.
Exactly.
Guys, you heard him. He said it's a final to enjoy. Make sure on Saturday. What's the date again? 31st of May.
8 p.m. Munich Arena is
8 p.m. Munich Arena. Enjoy football, guys. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I look forward to bringing you here again.
Hopefully, Monday we have won something by then.
No, United don't win it. Now that's next.
You sabi teach us now, but when it comes to
no, bro. You see,
this is an argument for another day.
We'll talk about this later. Thank you everyone for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you very much. See you next time. Peace out.